What makes somebody hireable? I used to hire animators when I was supervising on certain films. It was my job to hire people. And the interesting thing about this trade is I never look at a resume or really even a cover letter. I look at demo reels. And I'm usually given a big stack of demo reels, and I have to go through them and weed them out. I usually end up with three piles. I have a pile of no, which is a large-ish pile, and then a pile of maybes, which is a bit smaller, and then a couple of for sures that I want to call in. And I always tell people about students that are desperate to get a job about that process. And if I'm calling you for an interview, all I'm really doing is I'm just trying to see if you're somebody I can work with. I'm trying to see if your flavor of crazy meets with my flavor of crazy. Because when we're hitting a deadline and we're working 10 hours a day for the 6th or 7th day straight, I just want to make sure that we're both going to survive. So I always like to say to students, when you get called for an interview, it's your job to lose. So then I get asked about the interview process, and I think the important thing to do during an interview of any job is to find out who you're going to work for, do some research, get excited about what they do, and ask them about it. People love to talk about what they do, and I think the key is during a job interview is to flip it from an interrogation to a conversation. And the best way you can do that is to be genuinely enthusiastic about what your potential employer does, and share that enthusiasm. You can't fake it because people can smell that, but you can get excited about what they do. And I think to me, that's just a much better way to approach it. Because at the end of the day, when you leave, all you want that person to think is, I like to have that person around. And if they like to have you around and your work is decent, you have a way better shot. I want to hire a good communicator. Again, this is a communication-oriented job, so I need to be able to look at your work, or somebody needs to be able to look at your work and communicate with you what they want you to do to change your work, and then you have to change it and communicate it back to them. And the process always works better when the lines of communication are clear. And I shouldn't even say it works better. It's the only way it can work, is if people are communicating. So if you're proactive, as I'm giving you notes, if you're talking those notes back to me and we're coming to some sort of conclusion, and then I can trust you that you've understood the notes, then I can trust you as an artist. I think, of course, it's incredibly important to work well with others. It's a team-based production. You're working in teams. And it's not easy for everyone. A lot of artists can be kind of insulated. They want to sit down, they want to put their headphones on, and they want to just do their work. But we're all working together. It's a collaboration. And if our work looks different from one another, and it's not consistent, the film is going to suffer for it. So we need people that work well with others, that are able to work in an environment where you're collaborating, where you're enjoying yourself, where you're communicating. So if I was to boil it down to just 3 attributes of someone who I think I would hire, I would think an effective communicator is important, genuine enthusiasm for not only the project but for the people, and I think that all wraps up in being a team player.